A lot of people on Twitter are mad at the casting in Dune 2, saying that it totally ruined their suspension of disbelief. They're mad that Timothée Chalamet is an action star who essentially looks like a little boy. And they're mad that Zendaya is not nearly as attractive as the woman who played Shami in the 1984 version of Dune. So I saw some pretty scathing tweets. One said, "Such a disgusting visage. How am I to believe..." I have no idea how to pronounce these names, by the way. The Kwisatz Haderach would not only accept this creature, but fall madly in love with her to the point he leaves the golden path to his descendants. Suspension of disbelief destroyed, movie ruined.
I'm going to put this on screen and say this is the most unfair screenshot in the history of screenshots.
It is. I mean, you're sitting in the front row in the theater, and this is the perspective that you're going to get of Zendaya.
It's trying to give like a Bruce Campbell chin, and it's not really it's not an accurate representation.
You can definitely see her nose hairs from that angle, things that you don't want to see.
Yeah.
But, you know, aside from just the angle or like one unflattering screen cap, she's meant to look kind of war-torn and haggard in the movie. That makes sense for the character and the story, right?
I don't think that there's anything wrong with her appearance in the story. I just think that she's very bland in one note, and she brings nothing really all that much to the character. Like I said, we did talk about it a little bit. The one line in the whole movie that I felt was the most awful line was her time when she says, "The prophecy is how they enslave us," because she sounds like a 12-year-old. Right? She sounds very, like, it doesn't sound good. And for the most part, Zendaya as an actress is fairly one note, but I don't think that has anything to do with her appearance.
I don't know if it's Zendaya as an actress, because the last time that I watched her in anything was Shake It Up on Disney Channel. So I don't know about her acting skills, but I thought that character, whether it was different from the books or not, was not very likable.
And there's no reason for Chalamet to look different because the character's young in the source material.
How old is
16 or 17 from in the novels? I believe 16 or 17. I haven't read them, but the point is
he's 28 in real life, but he doesn't look,
which is fine.
His age.
Like I don't think that that's woke casting. I think that the casting is perfectly fine.
Here's what someone said about Timothée Chalamet's casting with an extremely baby girl energy photo of him. They said, "Can I just tell the truth here? The fact is, a scrawny little man running across a battlefield besting grown men is as unbelievable as a scrawny little woman doing the same. All my men reading this, I ask you, is this a leader of men or a cabin boy?"
It's about the fact that there's a prophecy behind him.
Well, they're saying this is the same thing as girl boss casting, right?
It's not.
Like Natalie Portman and Thor, or Daisy Ridley as Rey. It doesn't make sense that someone so physically unintimidating could
I think you
win
defer.
in fights.
I think you defer to the fans of the source material and things like this, and the fans of the source material outside of what they call the girl bossification of her character seem to find that most of the film, the casting is good, the accuracy with the source material is good, other than in certain places. I think that this is looking for something where there isn't anything.
His character definitely didn't act feminine.
No.
Right?
No, not at all.
It wasn't showing through in the storytelling.
No.
It's just the way that he looks. Also, he was like a privileged royal Nepo baby, right? So he was only trained in fighting. He didn't actually have fighting experience. It makes sense that he wouldn't be this huge, like, brawny dude, and that's how he's written, right?
Yeah.
That's why they call him after the desert mouse.
So it's like, I just find that a lot of this is like, these are the side effects of the culture war, where you look for the problems where there might not actually be anything there. And again, you can call me biased, but I liked the movie. I liked Villeneuve as a director. I liked the direction in this film. I think that there's perfectly good performances from Chalamet. I didn't think much of Zendaya's performance, but that's because to me, it comes across as extremely one note and predictable, because that's where they diverged so much from the source material that it felt very Hollywood to push her character in this direction. But it's with a purpose, right? Because it's leading into Dune Messiah, where it's going to come back around. So I don't really have a problem with that. I do find it kind of interesting how nowadays you have to have this discussion with every single movie that comes up. We talked about how, like, people were calling Madam Web woke. I go, what? It's just a bad movie.
No,
it's just a bad movie.
Woke.
It's like for a movie with a whole bunch of women, it wasn't girl boss. It was just a bad movie.
Yeah. I mean, the Dune purists are saying that Shani was, or is it Shami? I don't know how to say it. She was more deferential to Paul in the books. I have no idea because I didn't read them. But in the movie, she's resisting him every step of the way, and she seems to be one of the only people, like one of the only Fremen who doesn't believe him to be a deity by the end of the movie, which was like interesting because he kind of comes across as like an antichrist figure.
Yeah.
And I still don't understand. This might be explained in the next part, but I still don't understand why he drank the worm piss. What was it called? The water of life.
Water of life.
Yeah, I have no idea what led to him making the decision to go to the south and then drink the water of life when he had been resisting his mother's.
See all possible futures, and so like.
Okay, but that was never shown, like why he decided to do that, because he had been resisting his mother's advice to do so the entire movie until that point.
And then when it comes to casting, then people were also making it about race because of the scene at the end with Florence Pugh, where there was like memes going around that says like he'll reject you and marry a white woman. I'm not kidding you. Those memes were going around. Yeah.
Okay, but Florence Pugh isn't exactly va va voom in comparison to Zendaya. They're about equal in attractiveness, I would say.
The again, I'm loath to be one of those people. It's like when we have to talk about people calling
mid discourse.
Like it's like I joke and make fun of Florence Pugh's titties, but that's like a joke, right? I'm not saying anything about her physical appearance, whatever. I do find that I do imagine that most of the men who are like, oh, she's so mid. I'm like, yeah, but is she really to you?
Disgraced.
To you and I, the normie dregs of society? Is this beautiful Hollywood woman really mid?
No, but I mean, if you had a team of people dedicated to making you look hot and stylish 24/7 and make you look attractive on red carpets, that's a lot different than a normal person. So I do think that Zendaya is attractive, but they did their best to work against that in the movie, at least. Disgraced propagandist said Chalamet is a twink, Zendaya is ugly, Christopher Walken is Christopher Walken. Watching them pretend to have emotions felt like watching a middle school production of Titanic. I've never seen such cultural cuckery. Dissidents convincing themselves this is a good movie because it has a dubstep soundtrack and spaceships blowing up. It's a boring, stale, white savior narrative designed to excite libtard dorks the world over. Sad. Thoughts on that?
To each their own, I guess. I disagree with him. But okay, again, I'm also fair. It's also fair to point that, to me, structure and design of shots and stuff like that stuff matters to me. And the beauty of the film matters to me. So visually, I liked the movie enough that even with a substandard story, I still probably would have enjoyed it on a visual scale, the work of Greg Fraser and stuff like that, fine. But if you're looking for a movie that seems to have united critics and fans, this seems to be the one that has put critics in the high 90s, and I believe fans are in the 90s as far as their ratings for this film. You could make the argument that people are just doing this to be contrary. You know, these types of things are just being done to be contrary. I don't like that. The same way I don't like labeling somebody as a grifter. I can't know what someone's intentions truly are. Perhaps they do see it this way. Perhaps it's just colored by their life experience. Teach their own. You're allowed to interpret a movie however you want.
They seem to think that this casting choice, especially for Zendaya as Paul's love interest, is actually intended to shift men's tastes in women. Look. One said Sean Young in the original 1984 Dune as Shani was beautiful, elegant, aristocratic, and unforgettable. Zendaya in the Dune remake in the same role looks like she just crossed America's southern border. They do this to humiliate you.
No.
You don't think that there's a concerted effort? I mean, I definitely noticed there's a concerted effort.
Well, we're getting into more than the last topic. No, in this movie, first of all, this is a big budget blockbuster. There are only so many actors that are going to fit that description of what is going to pass for an action star or a movie star today. Timothée Chalamet, Zendaya, Florence Pugh, that is your next generation of movie stars. You may not like that, and that's fine. Like, you may not like the people that they're putting in front of them. And there's definitely like there was a thing going around of him, a thing going around of not Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Austin Butler.
No, the other not Austin
Jacob
Butler.
Elordi.
Jacob Elordi. Who's the other one? The one from the Bear.
Oh, Jeremy Allen White.
And they're basically saying like it's never been a better time to be a weird looking white dude in a foreign land. Fine, whatever. That's what's in right now. That's what they're selling you right now. But at the blockbuster level, there's only so many names you're going to attach to. Like I said, I could pick 10 actors out of a hat on television that could give just as good of performances, but they're not going to draw the same box office.
Yeah, definitely. Like in terms of marketability alone, I totally understand the choice to cast Zendaya because, you know, she's Gen Z, she's trendy, she's a former Disney kid. And you know, it's easy to get people to come to your movie just because she's in it.
And I understand that, look, the age of the blockbuster action hero is gone. Like the age of the Tom Cruise, right? The actual actor that pulls you to the theaters. But social media presence matters too. We've had stories about actors who talk about they wanted to get hired for roles and they said, your social media presence isn't big enough to be hired for this role. So that matters too. Your public visibility matters. She's coming off of Spider-Man. Right? Not just Euphoria, but the Spider-Man series, where she is a very, very big name. She's dating somebody who is essentially a stand-in for he's just another Timothée Chalamet. He's like the more advanced Timothée Chalamet and Tom Holland.
I think Timothée Chalamet is more attractive in the face than Tom Holland.
But they're of the they're cut from the same cloth.
Sure.
Right?
I get
so,
it.
like, I just think that these things are far more detailed and complicated than just saying the bunch of evil people around it perpetually burning flames saying we are going to change the public's perception. Like maybe that's happening. Maybe it is. I'm just saying that there's a whole lot of business that goes into making these things too, all of which aren't as conspiratorial.
Yeah, I would say it's a mix of both.
Exactly.
Right.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Unfortunately, the truth of the matter is usually a lot more mundane and a lot more muddled. So it's a lot harder to sell the public on that, especially if you're trying to draw an audience that's going to be very willing to like listen to you because you're speaking their language already. I just think that most of the time, if you're being honest with yourself, these things are just a lot more complicated. Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.